Now at 10, we are tracking another little winter event that is going to roll through tonight and tomorrow. Those details coming up.
Plus, we'll recap everything we know about Tuesday's shooting in Joplin and about the officers involved and how the community is raising money to support the officers' families.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
More tragic news from the Joplin Police Department. Authorities say a second officer will not survive his injuries from Tuesday's shooting. This is KOAM News at 10. We're going to have that story in a moment, but first, wintry weather is moving in. Let's go to Doug Heddy.
Yeah, winter weather advisory is in effect for the entire region as we go through the rest of tonight and into the daytime hours for us tomorrow. And we're already getting some light snow, light sleet, light freezing drizzle on the Kansas side and into southwestern parts of Missouri. This line is ever so slowly inching its way off toward the south and to the east. It's very light. It's not a big storm system. It's more of a nuisance, but it is going to make some of the roads slick out there. And you can see the leading edge from Lamar to Pittsburgh and then back toward Parsons and Independence. And all this leading wintry mess is mainly sleet and freezing drizzle. So it is causing some roads to get slick very quickly, and then we kind of switch over to light snow behind it. It's not a strong system by any means, but again, it's going to stick around tonight into tomorrow morning. Plus, look at the temps. We're in the mid-20s, so anything that falls is immediately sticking to the roadways. So they're going to be a little bit tricky as we go through the morning hours. By about 1 o'clock in the morning, it makes it down to the I-44 corridor and then just slowly advances farther south through the overnight hours tonight. Of course, we'll break this entire system down for you here in just a bit.
See you soon. The tragedy deepens for the Joplin Police Department and our entire 4-state community. At a news conference this afternoon, Joplin authorities announced that a second police officer who was shot on Tuesday will not recover from his injuries.
I ask that the community reflect on the heroism of our Joplin Police Department, the lives that were lost, and the lives that were impacted, and the things that we must do to prevent this from happening again.
The second officer lost Patrolman Jake Reed, a 5-year veteran of the police force. After consulting with his family, city officials announced Thursday Reed will not survive.
Jake is an organ donor, and plans are underway for Jake's heroic actions to bring life to people needing organ transplants. We ask that you lift up his wife and family in prayer as they grieve. We're so proud, so thankful, and forever in debt for his service to this community.
Police say Reed was one of the 2 officers who responded to the initial call of a disturbance in a shopping area near 4th and Range Line Tuesday. They exchanged gunfire with suspect Anthony Felix. That's where both Reed and Corporal Ben Cooper were fatally shot. Felix stole a patrol car that crashed near 9th and Connecticut, the site of a second gunfight. Police say the suspect tried to steal another vehicle, and Officer Rick Hershey pulled his patrol car up to box in the suspect. The suspect fired through the windshield, striking Hershey in the face.
Officer Hershey bravely confronted this active threat to protect other officers and citizens from further danger. Rick is going to face some serious challenges in the days and months to come as he recovers, and most likely a series of surgeries to fix the damage that's done. We ask that you also lift his family up in prayers as he recovers.
At the news conference, police identified the officer who shot and killed the suspect. He's Captain William Davis, a 15-year veteran of the force.
If not for Captain Davis's actions, additional officers or citizens could have been killed. We ask that you also pray for Will and his family in the days to come.
Please continue to lean into these families as they are hurting and need that comfort. Not only the families that are affected that have been mentioned, but also our entire JPD family.
The city has not yet announced plans for funeral services. City leaders thanked the citizens and the community for their massive outpouring of support. You can see this entire afternoon news conference on KOAMnewsnow.com. Flowers from the public to honor the officers who were shot remain on display, although they are no longer outside. The flowers and other mementos had accumulated on a patrol car parked outside the police department. Police this afternoon moved them indoors so they'll be protected from the wintry weather. A lot of 4-staters are asking, how can I help? Well, a spokesman for the JPD says one way is by donating to the Joplin Fraternal Order of Police Foundation. Foundation set up a GoFundMe to collect donations for the families of the officers involved. Donations can also be made at the department. We've provided a link to the GoFundMe on our website. Again, KOAMnewsnow.com. Area businesses are also getting involved in raising money. Joplin Sports and Graphics is making shirts and hats with the slogan Joplin Strong. They say all of the proceeds will go to the families of the officers who were shot. Another local business is showing support by selling coffee and milkshakes. Joplin Greenhouse is hosting a Back the Blue fundraiser starting today through March 14th. All proceeds from these menu items will be donated directly to the families of the fallen and injured officers. Former Parsons High School students allege a teacher who recently resigned sent them inappropriate messages. The teacher's resignation was accepted by the school board on Tuesday evening. Lori Ray, the superintendent of the Parsons School District, says going forward, this teacher will not be participating in any school activities. One former student says the teacher reached out to her on Facebook and says he sent messages that made her uncomfortable. They have asked not to be identified.
Just saying how he remembers me 2 years later. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of inappropriate still. I don't know, just the way he spoke kind of was.
Parsons police say they could not find any criminal acts committed, only that the teacher violated school policy. Coming up, a panel of Missouri Southern professors discussing the conflict in Ukraine. Plus, top U.S. intelligence officials testify about our nation's top security threats. Joplin Public Works Director David Hertzberg is retiring after serving the city for more than 40 years. Hertzberg began his career with the city as a part-time employee, working in the city's sign shop, and held several positions before serving as director for the department for nearly 15 years. He's retiring on April 4th. Missouri Southern today hosted a panel to discuss the war in Ukraine. The panel included 2 history professors, a political scientist, and an international business professor with ties to Ukraine. KOAM's Jalen Banks has more on the discussion.
As the war continues on in the Ukraine, questions and worries continue to grow here in the States. Missouri Southern put together a panel of professors with expertise on the situation. One professor in particular has personal ties to the Ukraine, with his wife being from there. Dr. Chris Moose shares how the war has impacted them.
And I've been there so many times. I have lots of friends and colleagues there. We're both personally touched by this war. And so that gives us a little motivation. We're wanting somehow to help the people we know as well as the people we don't.
The panel aimed to diffuse any confusion, add perspective and context to the situation. Dr. Moose believes that was accomplished.
I was more curious about what they were going to ask. What were the questions in their minds from the news that they hear every day? What were they misunderstanding? And I think the panel succeeded in answering some of those questions.
Students were welcome to attend the discussion, and history major Malcolm Robertson remains optimistic after attending.
I know we're all kind of worried about this at this time, but there is good in this world, and this world is overwhelmingly good, and we need to remember that.
From Missouri Southern in Joplin, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
School also announced a scholarship fund for area high school students from Ukraine to attend MSSU. Our nation's top intelligence officials gave their assessment of threats to U.S. security from all around the world. Skylar Henry reports from Capitol Hill, where Russia's invasion of Ukraine is in the spotlight today.
The nation's intelligence leaders accused Russia of reckless disregard for civilians in Ukraine, even as sanctions squeeze President Vladimir Putin's economy.
We assess Putin feels aggrieved the West does not give him proper deference and perceives this is a war he cannot afford to lose.
At the annual hearing on worldwide threats to America's security, lawmakers asked how the conflict overseas could hit home.
How concerned are you as Russia gets more and more stymied on the military front that they may unleash some of their additional cyber tools?
We remain vigilant. We're 15 days into this conflict. By no means are we sitting back and taking this casually.
While the war in Ukraine was front and center, the intelligence hearing touched on a range of threats to national security, from terrorism to foreign influence on American politics.
They've seen what the Russians are capable of. They intervened in our elections in 2016.
Michael Allen served under former President George W. Bush at the National Security Council. He says while Russia is the prominent geopolitical foe, other countries, including China, still pose threats.
And when we consider that military power often flows from tremendous economic power, people worry, is the United States up to being the leader of the world with a rising China?
The panel echoed these concerns, especially with China's race to technological dominance.
Nothing is going to matter more to the future of CIA and I think the U.S. intelligence community more broadly than our ability to compete technologically.
With much of the focus on the escalating human toll in Ukraine, intelligence leaders say they're documenting Russia's actions to hold the government accountable. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Planned Parenthood is suing Missouri over an effort to defund it. The lawsuit aims to force the state to continue reimbursing it for health care for Medicaid patients. The Republican-led legislature in February passed a bill to block any public funding from going to Planned Parenthood, including clinics that do not provide abortions. Planned Parenthood says it'll stop receiving reimbursements for Medicaid patients at the end of the day tomorrow. A little later, a Macaulay Catholic basketball standout gets Player of the Year recognition.
And wintry weather has been increasing the past few hours. We're going to check that out coming up. Well, it's turned out to be kind of a crummy day for us today. A lot of clouds. We did actually warm up the southern counties to about 50, and then we plunged as that cold front surged south, and it's been dropping for, about 8 or 9 hours now. Winter weather advisory is in effect for everybody, and this is mainly due to light sleet and light snow. It's not a big storm system. It's not going to pile up. We're just going to get minor accumulations, but enough that's going to cause the roads to be a little bit tricky tonight into the morning hours. Look at the bands of light snow this morning. So our northern counties picked up a dusting to ½ an inch and then melted. And then here comes the second band that has been building in over the past several hours and slowly advancing off toward the south and to the east. Leading edge, you can see still right back through southeastern Kansas. But again, this is all very light, but we are getting some, where you see the darker blues, a little bit heavier, light snow, Yates Center, Iola, Chanute, Humboldt, Fredonia, down to about Independence. Now, a lot of this leading edge is freezing drizzle and light sleet, and it's accumulating slowly, but it's immediately sticking to the road. So we've had a lot of reports here in southeastern Kansas, really as far south as Pittsburgh, Frontenac, Girard, over towards Chanute, Fort Scott, and Nevada, all seeing really slick roads, so be careful if you are going to be out. So that leading edge, trying to get into northern parts of Cherokee County. The metro is still dry. We can look on the Missouri side. From Nevada, it's light, leading edge right about Lamar. And it's going to take its time. It's not going to get south of Interstate 44 for about 3 or 4 more hours. It's just slowly inching its way south and east as we go through really the next several hours. All right, temperatures for us right now, we're sitting mid-20s. So it's cold. We'll drop back probably another 3 or 4 degrees. So everything's going to stick across the region. A little windy as well. Makes it feel a little bit colder, gives us wind chill factors down into the teens at this point in time. Here's 7th and Rangeline, dry at 7th and Rangeline. Sitting 25 north winds at about 15. Humidity has been creeping up over the past couple hours. Let's go through time. Through the rest of the overnight hours, here's midnight, trying to get down to the I-44 corridor by about 3 or 4 a.m. Leading edge about Neosho. And then by about 6 a.m., it finally gets into McDonald County and Berry County. Now, if you flip it on the other side, your snow is ending. Yates Center, Iola, Fort Scott, and Nevada by about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. Again, this is going to be very light. Light snow continues through the morning hours. Here's 9 a.m., and then it should start to back off after the noon hour. Our southern counties will get out of the action 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we clear out. And our temperatures really take a dip tomorrow night. We drop all the way down to about 10 or 11 degrees, so a cold night. All right, widespread, I'm really thinking 1 to 2 inches because this is very fine snow. It's accumulating very slowly. There may be an isolated 3 out there, but most of us 1 to 2 inches. Again, some tricky roads in the morning. They will improve in the afternoon, 35 for a high. 37 on Saturday, all gone Sunday, high temps near 60.
As you say, tricky roads in the morning, and no doubt some tricky roads out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
People need to be careful. Thanks, Doug. With daylight saving time returning this weekend, the Missouri State Fire Marshal is asking people to remember another important thing. As you're turning your clocks forward, don't forget to change the batteries in your smoke and carbon monoxide alarms and test them. Safety experts also recommend you make a fire escape plan and practice it. And don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone. It's free of charge. The app is available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. It's the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Still ahead, the Colgan boys aim to knock off the #1 seed in the 2A state basketball tournament. And the Major League Baseball lockout is over. Jacob Leonard has details next.
Well, today's a big day for the El Dorado Springs girls basketball team. The Bulldogs are on the floor in the state semifinals this afternoon in Springfield, looking to move on to the state championship. El Dorado Springs facing the Stratford Indians in that semifinal game. That one is final. Bulldogs win a good one, 46-44. Reese Schaaf finishes with a big double-double, 19 points, 17 boards. They now move on to face South Shelby in the state championship game tomorrow afternoon. McCallie Catholic senior Kennedy Dury is the Ozark 7 Conference Player of the Year. And Dury helped the Warriors go 18-11 this season, finishes the Class 1 District 5 runner-up. She did a little bit of everything for the Warriors. Dury averaged 16 points and nearly 6 rebounds per game this season. She also added 4 assists and 4 steals per night. She leaves the McCallie program as the team's 4th all-time leading scorer with 1,379 points.
Who doesn't want to have that recognition, that honor? It all goes into, putting in extra shots after practice and coming in a little bit earlier, staying, way later. I love being in the gym. I love being in the gym, and so definitely also gave me confidence to just play my game, knowing that people respected me, people were seeing what I could do and everything like that, and I think that just made me comfortable in my own skin.
We have 3 Southeast Kansas teams competing in state basketball tournaments tonight. In Class 3A, the Frontenac girls are on the floor this evening in the state quarterfinals. And they're the 7th seed in the bracket, facing 2nd-seeded Nickerson. It was tight all night, but Frontenac falls 47-40. Hattie Pyle posted double-double with 14 points and 10 rebounds. The Raiders finish 15-6 overall. Staying in the girls 3A bracket, the Cherryville Chargers looking for the upset today against the top-seeded Silver Lake Eagles. Silver Lake, though, too good today. Chargers fall 63-33. Cherryville finishes the season with a 15-9 overall record. For the boys' side now, the Colgan Panthers are the 8th seed in the 2A bracket. They have undefeated top-seeded Valley Falls in the first round tonight. Colgan had an 8-point lead in the 4th, but the Dragons come back to win 64-61. Jalen Van Beesler leads Colgan with 16 points. The Big 12 men's basketball tournament is this week in Kansas City. Now, the Kansas Jayhawks are the #1 seed in the bracket after going 25-6 in the regular season. The Jayhawks up against West Virginia this afternoon in the tournament quarterfinals. Christian Brown up to Ochai Agbaji for the alley-oop there. Hawks up 4. A few minutes later, Agbaji drives and scores. KU already up double digits. Now, midway through the half, after a missed layup, Mountaineers head coach Bob Huggins not happy with the no call. He's going to the locker room early. He's tossed from the game, and it really didn't get much better for West Virginia. DeJuan Harris, no-look pass to Jalen Wilson. The lead is 18. Then on the break, Harris up to Agbaji. Agbaji finishes with 18. KU rolls by West Virginia 87-63. And how about this? A little upset in the Big 12 quarterfinals tonight. Oklahoma knocks out 2nd-seeded Baylor 72-67. The Sooners move on to play in the conference semifinals tomorrow night. Staying with Big 12 basketball, K-State head coach Bruce Weber announced today he is resigning. Weber spent 10 seasons in Manhattan, won 184 games, made the national tournament 5 times, including making the Elite 8 in 2018. The Wildcats were knocked out of the Big 12 tournament last night and finished 14-17 overall. Finally, the Major League Baseball lockout is over. Major League Baseball and the Players Association agreed to a new collective bargaining agreement today that will end the league's 99-day lockout. Spring training opens Sunday. The regular season starts April 7th. Among the notable changes for the season, the playoffs are expanding to 12 teams, and there's now a universal DH.
One of the good things about collective bargaining is that it gives our players an opportunity to have input on what their workplace and the game is going to look like going forward. And they took full opportunity to provide that input during these negotiations.
And that's it for sports. We're back after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Scott Depke joined the U.S. Air Force in 2006. The Pineville, Missouri native was stationed in Iraq, and we salute Staff Sergeant Scott Depke, a four-state hero. You need to be aware of the possibility of slick conditions as you go off to school and work in the morning. It's already getting slick in some places.
Yeah, on the Kansas side, we're getting some slick roads out there. And this is slowly going to march south. It won't even get into the metro for another 2 or 3 hours. But temperatures are in the low to mid-20s, so it will stick. It's not going to pile up much. Totals maybe an inch, maybe 2. But we are going to have some slick roads tomorrow morning. The roads will improve tomorrow afternoon.
Final sports notes.
The national tournament is finally here for the Missouri Southern women. They'll face St. Cloud State at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night in Hayes.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget the morning show starts at 5 a.m. Let's make it a great tomorrow.